Hi, first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself for the people that don't know you already and have a few words.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nicolas. I'm the CEO and founder of Classter. I'm very excited about the 10 years anniversary of Classter journey. Um, Myself, my team has worked a long time and very hard the last 10 years to achieve um, whatever we have achieved so far. We have succeeded and failed many times, and this journey has been very fruitful and very interesting for us.
Well, thank you for your introduction, Mr. Nico, and thank you, first of all, because you have a busy schedule for letting us steal a little bit of your time. Uh, I would like, as a beginning, before we start with the questions, to get a little bit of an emotional check and hear about your feelings so far about this great milestone. Like a lot of companies, especially startups, uh, they go to the first and second year and usually they dissolve. But this project that you started 10 years ago now has been going on and evolving and stronger than it was before. How are your feelings around that?
I'm very excited and very proud about my team, about myself, about everybody that we managed to go through this path and this journey. Um, People may not know that the whole team started developing Cluster in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in Greece, in the middle of a very strong financial crisis, and everybody was very pessimistic about what we can achieve and how we could survive. But I think what is proven now is that if you work hard, if you are sincere with your employees and your customers, if you try to fix your errors every single day, then there is a path to success. We have been very persistent in doing whatever we know well, and our focus always has been to improve on a daily basis and try to support our customers as best as we can. And we had very limited resources. Unfortunately, we have never been very well financed, but still, I think using a bootstrap method, we have been able to serve our market and going through all the steps from a very small startup to a scale-up company, and that is an amazing journey.
Amazing. Absolutely. Starting with a simple formula, like you said, you refined it over the years with the support of the team and especially close communication with your clients and partners. I would like to start with a couple of questions, and I would like to ask you, first of all, could you share the inspiration behind Cluster's founding? Like, what specific challenges in education or institutional management were you able to aim and to address? How did you identify this gap in the market?
Yeah. Uh, my team and myself started working with educational market around 2010, a bit earlier actually. Initially, we developed some client-server solutions, Microsoft-based software um, for schools, for managing schools in Greece. And eventually, around 2013, 2014, we tried to start selling this software abroad. We realized back then a couple of things. First of all, this is a very fragmented market. Um, each each country has its own pioneers in the area. Secondly, the average school had to buy a lot of the different software components or software platforms and integrate all those under one system in order to be able to implement one end-to-end digitalization of their administrative services. And when we back then we took part in a lot of roadshows, events abroad, and we realized that all schools had the same problems: tiny budgets, lack of IT people, a lot of processes that they need to integrate, a lot of need to digitalize and automate their processes, and they had to buy a lot of software, integrate, and create complex environments. So the idea behind Classter came back then when we realized, okay, there are ERPs um, in the business world. So there are ERPs people can buy to automate operations in the manufacturing. Those ERPs do not fit very well in the education market. So we need to create a business software ERP-like, which is going to be focusing in the education
More
market.
catered towards the education market.
Yes,
Yeah, because
exactly.
usually ERPs are in the economic sector.
Yeah, they are, in the ERP, everything starts with a customer, and okay, you have customers again. They're students, but they are students, first of all. They're not customers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a fundamental difference, how you manage the whole data model, your software around the student and educator, which is similar but not identical to what an ERP can do. So the idea was, let's create a school management system, student information management system. It was a category that already existed, but not focus only on a very core SIS, student information management system, but extend this and create a platform that can manage all operations from the whole student journey. The first point student contacts the school or university until they graduate. And that was the first thing that popped up in our mind. And the second that came was, okay, why there are so many different software components there? Why do we have different software for higher education, different software for K-12, different software for language schools, different software for music schools? We can realize the need of all these institutions to have their own custom solutions, but at the same time, the tendency in software is to create a platform that can be customizable to be utilized by different educational institutions. Such a platform is very flexible usually and can be adapted to different types of education institutions. And thus you can transfer knowledge and best practices from one area to the other. So that all those basically led to the strategy behind Classter, which is an end-to-end, all-in-one platform for any educational institution in Europe and worldwide. We started in Europe, but very soon
You're
we
expanding.
started
Yeah,
we
you're
expanded
expanding
worldwide.
to other regional markets as well.
Exactly.
Uh, Great takeaway that I would take from that is that, like you said, um, the formula usually was to have different software for different problems. And one key that you saw, a keen insight, was to pretty much integrate all of them into one platform as an accompanying tool for a student's life cycle in the educational system, pretty much. Started from K-12 to their college years and hopefully help them integrate into the workforce.
Exactly.
Well, I would like to ask you, every startup has a pivotal early moment. What was Cluster's journey like with its first client? Were there any unexpected hurdles you faced in those early days? And how did they shape pretty much the company's approach?
Yeah. I think of course, like any startup, we had a lot of failures um, on the way, on our way. A lot of projects that didn't go very well. Um, Trying to when you're a startup, a bootstrap in reality startup, first of all, you don't have the ability to easily to say no. So, okay, sometimes you say no. We said a lot of no's to other type of business, to other type of opportunities. We said we will focus only on education, we do only on education, nothing else. But at the same time, within education, um, we had to be very um, any type of good projects that came in our
Mhm.
plate, we try to go there and accommodate. Of course, that has a lot of difficulties because there are different types of education institutions, different countries with different requirements, a lot of integrations. That created a lot of problems. That is one major thing that we had to overcome. So basically, promising that you can do everything end to end to any type of education institution, it is a very good promise, but it's very difficult to implement it because you need to have a lot of functionality, you need to have a lot of integrations, you need to do a lot of things, you have to have a team that can deploy the software successfully and onboard the customer successfully. So all these were very demanding tasks. It took us and still takes us a lot of effort to be able to meet those expectations. At the same time, I think one error we did at the very beginning was that we focused a lot on the idea that we can create a software that it can sell itself. So you start with the free edition, you get into the free edition, you start using the software, and eventually you grow and you start paying then the license, and you start getting new features and new modules and so on. So that is a common way for a lot of SaaS software to sell. In our case, this didn't work very well, and there is a reason for that. The reason is that we sell to education institutions that are very complex organizations with usually very conservative, with a lot of stakeholders, educators, students, parents, back office employees. So a lot of different people need to use your system. And for implementing such a complex system, you need effort, you need budget, you need dedication. And customers, they start with a free edition, they usually lack all this. Free editions can work for a small business problem, like a partial problem for organization, but something that is at the heart of a big institution, it's very difficult to go through the free version. So when we implemented a free version, people didn't want to buy services. They were complaining about, okay, this software is a crap. They cannot do this, cannot do that. But in reality, you can do it. They didn't know how to do it. And of course, we didn't manage to develop very automated or sophisticated UI that allows you to configure everything very easily, because all this requires huge investments. So we realized very soon that the free edition version and path was very wrong for us. So we stopped this very early. Thanks God, because that created a big mess, I think. And then we decided that if you want to buy Classter, you need to invest on services also. You need some services to be paid. We need to be next to you. We need to spend time with you. And that is a project. It is not just a software. You switch it on, and next day you can play with that. You need to configure it. You need to think about your processes. You need to adapt the software to your processes. You need to adapt your process to the software. You need to find the common ground, and then you can start getting benefits. So that realization, I think, was the aha moment for our startup. They said, okay, theoretically, the correct way to do it is this way: do a free edition, everybody can play with that, and then convert to paid. In practice, for the particular software domain, that is very difficult to achieve, and we decided not to do it.
The way that I'm taking is pretty much, like you said, a standard practice was to have a free to premium funnel type of model, and then you realize pretty quickly that it doesn't work. The client usually doesn't know what his needs are and doesn't know how to meet those needs. So pretty much every new partner that comes to the platform is a custom-made job. They are adapted to the needs of a client, and so every new partner that comes in, pretty much you are there 24/7 with him to help him and guide him to adapting to his needs. What should that platform pretty much look like, and to help him to his day-to-day operations become smoother.
Yeah, there was a very fine balance between you have an out-of-the-shelf product that it's basically the same product for everybody. But at the same time, this product should be customizable enough to work on a different operational needs, different demands per type of institution. Each institution has its own processes, and although they are very identical, at the same time they are different enough. So finding the balance between I develop a standardized software, but that standardized software should be configurable to adapt particular needs. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult game, and that game we play internally every day. Every day we have a demand for a new feature, a new way of operation that may conflict with the demand of another customer for a different type of operation, or very identical sometimes. But the devil is always details. on the big picture, if we discuss, we say, okay, we do the same thing, but when we go to the details, then those details can be very, very demanding, very big problem if you don't take care and consideration of those details. So that has been a very demanding exercise for the team, and a problem on a daily basis to meet and fight with that, which has created a lot of tensions internally. So people they feel that they always run behind small demands here and there that must be met. But our philosophy is that we are to be next to the customer. We need to build the software with the customer. We need to make sure that each project on its own, it's separate projects that needs to be run correctly. It needs to be implemented the way that fits the customer. Of course, we try to educate customers. We try to change sometimes the processes, but at the end of the day, the software should be adaptable. And that adaptation has a lot of challenges from software development point of view, from onboarding and customer service point of view, from project management point of view, and we do a lot of excellent things in Classter, but at the same time, we fight to understand how to make the system being stable, being doing the things the way customers expect, avoiding surprises. It's very easily said. It is in our mind, but very difficult to achieve. And that is one of the most difficult things we have to do every day.
Something that is key that you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry for cutting you, first of all. Something that is key that you mentioned earlier is that usually the education system is very conservative and they do not like change. So it is a uphill battle, understandably, from your point of view, to try to educate people that some things are for a reason like that, and some changes are needed to meet quotas and expectations that they might have.
When I discuss with peers about the education system, or sometimes in my presentations, what I do is I present a classroom. I present different things, how they were in 1970s and how they are today. A car, a mobile, a phone, different things in life, how much they have changed. All things have happened in the last 50 years, internet, mobile phone, supercars, electric cars, all things we have done. And then I present the class. And I have a picture of a class of 1970s, and then a picture of class of 2010 or 2020. And the truth is that the difference is almost none. I mean, okay, you may see
minimal at best.
Minimal, yeah. You may see some laptops, you may see, but the main process has never changed. It's exactly there, the same thing. So because we sell mostly to physical school with bricks, schools that have a campus, people go there. The process maybe it's a bit changed, but a bit. Mostly is there. So what this says about this education, this sector is one of the most conservative one. It is changing very slowly. It doesn't follow the rhythm of all other things. So you see huge changes in finance, in manufacturing, in telecoms, in transportation. But there you see very minimum set of changes. That is normal because this is how this is what they do. Okay, a lot of schools they have to teach the basic of things that students have to learn, the basic of our civilization and the culture of each country, and this is the reason that those sectors are very conservative. Now that has an impact in IT. It has an impact in systems on how users behave, how users. So if you are somebody who loves changes and you want to work with state-of-the-art technology and do new things and have challenges in your life, it's very unlikely that you become a teacher. A teacher is somebody who wants to give, he wants to educate, he wants to guide, somebody who has another type of character. Now, this user, it is a more difficult user to adapt to a new system, to new processes. So this conservative way of seeing things in education, it has been a great obstacle for companies like ours that they do EdTech companies, especially those EdTech companies that they sell to traditional schools. And we are one of those. There are a lot of EdTech companies. They do, online courses, things like
Yeah,
that. They
the
try to
course
bypass
market.
the yes.
Hmm.
But that is not really what we do. We sell to traditional schools. We sell to traditional universities, traditional schools, K-12 or primary schools, kindergarten, and so on. All these institutions, they are very, very traditional. They want to be traditional. They have to be traditional in reality.
Yes.
And that creates a lot of demands uh, or a lot of requirements, a lot of constraints on the software side. We need to make sure that we have all those different users. So we have teachers, we have parents, and each one has a different way of seeing things. So whatever we do, it might be excellent for one type of user, but rubbish for somebody else. And these users are, it's not easy for them to understand the whole picture, of course.
Hmm.
Actually, it is impossible for them to understand the whole picture. So it is sometimes they don't understand why is this like this. They could do it much simpler, but they don't see the whole picture. And that is one of the things that this specific domain, the student information management system, school management system software, has to fight on a daily basis to find the balance also between custom of the self, uh, progression plus vs conservative. Do things as we used to do it. Don't change it too much or change it. And that battle is a daily battle. Um, we live in this battle. We love it actually because it is very interesting part of our job, but it creates a lot of tension, and it is a way things progress in the educational system slowly through all these battles.
Some would say if you didn't love this kind of battles, you wouldn't be in this space for 10 years and continuing.
Correct,
So
correct.
that's a key takeaway from that point.
Yes.
I would like to move forward and I'd like to talk about that Classter has grown from an SIS, a student information system, to a comprehensive AI-enhanced cloud platform. What are some key milestones or shifts in strategy that drove this evolution? Were there any eureka moments where you realized the product needed to expand in a certain direction?
Yeah, I think the one of the things that happened is that we started as a K-12 or like lower education software initially. So
Mhm.
our primary focus was schools because that was our, let's say, the domestic market. The way we started was selling to private educational high schools, uh, primary schools in Greece. So we started with that section. Very soon we realized that, however, the actual uh, area that we should focus um, is on a higher education. Why? Because we are a European company selling mostly in Europe. Higher education market has been dramatically changed in the last maybe 7 years. Brexit has played a significant role on that because UK was the main higher education market in the European Union before. When UK left the European Union, a huge number of students from all around EU could not go easily now anymore to UK. It was very expensive, so uh, they started searching for options in other countries, and that created a new market, a market boom in countries like the Netherlands, Malta, in Cyprus, in Baltics, Scandinavia. A lot of new schools came in the higher education, and at the same time, what has happened globally is that there is a new uh, a new group of young people from Asia and Africa that they have now the means, the money to go and study uh, at a university in Europe or in UK or United States. All this has created a booming market, and very soon we realize that this market is the market we should try to focus mostly. So in the last, let's say, 5 years, our focus shifted from K-12 to higher education, and uh, that created a lot of other needs and focus on what we need to develop in the software. Also, another thing that we realize that this end-to-end strategy fits much better to to bigger institutions. So if you are a school with 200 students, you can survive with whatever software or piece of software here and there. But if you are an education institution with 10,000 students, the
There's no
dynamics are different.
infrastructure for that to survive. Yeah.
Exactly. It's more difficult to do things. You need a more like one unified database with all data, unified tools. And so our focus shifted from smaller K-12 schools to higher education, larger entities. Both K-12 or like lower education and higher education, but larger entities. So those things, they are I think, moments of realization of how to move the strategy of the company. Sometimes, the market actually drags you towards this direction,
Sure.
but very
There's
soon we
trends in the
realize
market.
that there is this
Yeah.
trend, and we need to follow this trend. And nowadays is the second big phase of change that comes from AI, the incorporation of AI tool in all levels, in our development, in our internal processes of how we do marketing, how we do sales, how we communicate internally, how we do documentation. Everything was impacted by AI. And now we start adding AI also as tool for our end customers, for teachers, students. AI, eventually a bot will be part of any software that will serve you and doing things for you on a daily. And we start developing different aspects of that allows you to do nice things related to having technology helping you getting data from the system. We have a lot of data. We need to make sure this data come to the end user easily.
What you just mentioned, is that an upcoming feature for the platform?
Yeah, there are some upcoming features related to that, yes. And the focus is to start using AI as give AI agents to all our users. And we have a lot of users. We have educators, we have students, we have parents, we have back office employees, we have admission officers. So all this should be able to use AI tools within the platform.
So to understand what an agent is for those people that don't know specifically
there are a lot of things we experiment right now, but I can give you an example. You can be, for example, a teacher. You can say, give me the 10 students with biggest problem, academic problem, based on the total picture. Okay. So who has the biggest drop down on marks?
A deficit.
Increase in absences or any other indicator on the system. So, and that can be done, of course, with a report. But we want to have a human like interface for the teachers to speak to the mobile app and say, give me the 10 problematic students in the last 3 months. Give me who has the best, the better performance increase. Give me the student, and that can be extended then to other things, like who has a gap in this area in mathematics. And the system should be able to know this, to know that Nikos has a gap on that, and Peter has a gap on this, and so on. And then we have other ideas that this may come a little bit later, like, for example, you as a student have a bot which is your teacher with the face of your teacher that you can consult at any time during any time of the day. You talk to your teacher. You think you talk to the teacher, but he's not a teacher. It's an avatar with a teacher face. But this avatar, this bot knows everything has been said in the classroom, everything in the system. So basically, it gives you personalized information. It doesn't just tell you. So you ask something about history to your history teacher, and the history teacher will, the bot will tell you with the face of your teacher, listen, we have discussed this in the class. This is what we said. Think about that. You may have, this is the note you need to revisit. So that is basically how we believe that those software should be in the next 2 to 3 years maximum. Basically, any student, any teacher, they will have their virtual extension that they can do things for them, and that will help them to learn faster, and basically to do other things than learning, because this is one thing is in my strategy, in my way of thinking, is that we move from the knowledge era, the era that the most important thing is the knowledge, to a new era that the most important thing is the critical thinking, the critical judgment of the knowledge, because knowledge is there. You can ask anything to
information is everywhere.
To AI,
what's
information
important
is there.
Right now is to understand the context behind the information.
And if the information is correct. Because the problem with all this is that misinformation can be the king. I mean,
It's very harmful
you need to be
in this day
able
and
to say,
age.
is this correct what I'm getting back? Because easily you can do whatever. You can scan a math exam and get a solution in a second. You can see question in history and get the answer in a second. So it is not anymore important that you know the facts, you know this happened, that, but it is important to find a way from all this information to understand this is correct answer, this is wrong answer. So you need to be able to have a critical ability. All these things means that we need to give tools for the students, for the parents, for the teachers to understand and have the information easily, and then we need to develop next generation of tools that allow you to behave and know how to navigate through this information ocean. And that is, I think, the challenge that EdTech is going to face in the next 5 years is how to create tools that allow human beings to navigate through the information ocean. It is one of the most difficult things to achieve, I think.
Well, it was fascinating when you mentioned the application towards students, uh, the modern day experience of a student, especially someone in college and higher education, is that, and of course lower education, but the use is prolific now of AI tools to help them with classwork and assignments and projects. And usually a bot, a random bot, or a commercial use chatbot doesn't know what level of education you are in, doesn't know, isn't personalized to your needs and to know what level you are on. So uh, you ask a bot, can you solve me this problem? It's going to solve it, and maybe with a method that you haven't even been taught. But what was
Yeah.
interesting was that you mentioned the assistant, the agent that will be assistant teacher to the student will pretty much keep a progress of where they are and help them around those parameters to help the students when they're facing issues and problems.
Exactly, because there are generic AI out there, so you can use it at any time to
Yes.
solve any. But there is a lot of personalized information that is because of uh, GDPR and other reasons. This content it is not publicly available on the internet, and we don't want to be. So we
Yes.
want to create our private school bots that they have the information of whatever happens in the school and provide this information structured answers with this information to the students. The thing is that we need the student to be able to, basically what we want to achieve is to be able to get the support the student will get from a teacher when they speak with a teacher, but to do this automatically without they need the teacher to be available 24 hours a day, and the student can do this 24 hours a day. So that is basically the vision. We want to extend the knowledge of the teacher and provide the capability to give this knowledge to the students with a more automated way. Teacher is a very key element of the educational process, and we want to keep it like this. We believe on that, but we want to give the tools to this person to extend the capabilities using AI. We don't want to replace the teacher. We want to add on, uh, give weapon to the teacher, being able to do things that otherwise they can't do today.
Fascinating, absolutely amazing. Switching a little bit on a more lighter note, with hindsight being 2020 and the product being 10 years old, looking back, what have been some of the most defining moments for Cluster? It's a tough lesson that fundamentally changed how you operate today.
Um, I think that our first sale abroad, that was with the help of Microsoft, the first big sale abroad. It was our first big university abroad. Was a moment of the define the process of the progress of cluster. This project allows us to do a lot of new things. We build the admission module around it, and the admission module has been the main, together with the billing module, the two main modules have accelerated cluster growth. And the second, I think, defining moment is the moment we realize now we need to focus on creating a marketing engine So because before that, we tried to get here and there projects via partners, word of mouth. But at one point we said, now we have a product we start commercializing officially. So we created, Google Ads campaigns, an inbound methodology, automation, a flow of how we manage all this inbound. And then eventually, and very recently, we started using the outbound methodology. So how we approach schools to convey the message about the Classter is there. Do you know about it? Do you want to learn more about it? What do you use today? Let me explain you what you can do with Classter. So all these moments of how you create a business that from one side it has a solid product, from the other side we convey the message of this product to the market. They were done in parallel, and there were a lot of moments that we had to do the next step. Usually the startup journey looks like a line like this, but in most of if you zoom in, it is something like this, goes like this.
It's a
And we had
smooth
a lot
uphill
of like
journey.
this. Yes,
Yeah.
uphills, then you may go down a bit, you feel that you cannot progress, you feel stuck, and then you suddenly you feel, okay, now we are doing well again. So it is never like a straight line up. It is always a line that has a lot of up and downs, and we had a lot of this in all areas. But definitely, I think I will say the first big customer abroad that made the product more concrete and ready to sell, and then the implementation of an engine of selling the product is the two points that define the success of future.
Amazing. I would like to move to a topic that you mentioned previously about the educational sector, and the EdTech space is rapidly evolving. Where do you see Cluster heading next? What are the next steps that you're going to take with things like artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, mobile first solutions gaining traction? How's the company positioning itself for the future, especially in terms of global expansion?
Yeah. Um, we have a lot of plans for the future. The truth is, as we already discussed, a lot of a separate AI, let's say, team to form new AI tools. We have a new team formed which separate for mobile app. The goal is to have, on the mobile app or any tool for a teacher, student, or parent to be fully mobile. So using a mobile app, you don't need to use a browser. And then integrations, I will say, is the next big thing. So what we plan is to focus more on integration, make sure that we integrate with all major platforms, ERP, CRM. We have been integrated with a lot of payment gateways. So this is another big thing. We are having a plan now to incorporate more like inbuilt payments platforms. So far we've been integrated with the different payment platforms, but now we want to have an agreement with a pan-European payment provider and basically provide payments as part of the software without the need to go to another payment gateway. Not to become a payment gateway, we'll still use internally a payment gateway software, but that will be inherited in Classter, so payments can be very, very simplified, automated, so make sure that you can easily get payments as a school from any student, parent, agent, whatever. And then we have a lot of other sub-modules that we have implemented in the last few years, and we want to focus on developing those. I give some examples. We have the agents portal that is for higher education institutions. We have agents from abroad that send students, and the management of these agents and the payment of this agent. We have a new module related to, we call it HR module, but it's not really HR payroll. What we do is we manage the teacher or educator contracts. We manage check out for teachers, hours worked, calculation of annual, monthly hours worked, and then which is then sent to payroll. That is a very sophisticated, a very impressive new module that we have implemented in Classter. Then we have new modules like apprenticeships and internships that, for higher education or even for K-12 schools, that they send students to work somewhere. You can manage the whole operation from Classter. You can have companies publishing jobs, students applying to the jobs, managing this as part of the curriculum, managing the attendance, the contracts, everything, payments to the students, all this in one integrated module within the rest of the platform. So those are a few things we extend the utilization of Classter. Most likely we also had we have been already negotiating with a number of partners to add an accounting section with Classter. This is going to be a white label accounting, and that goes hand by hand with a new add-on we have in Classter, which is a white labeled signature solution. So basically, any contract can be signed directly from Classter. You don't need to buy separate software. So all this is in our goal to implement an end-to-end solution that takes a student from the very beginning, as I said, the whole journey. Day one, we conduct the school. Last day, we go to the graduation ceremony. How we manage the whole flow. The whole student getting into the school, leaving the school. How we manage the whole flow. This is what we try to achieve. We realize it's a very demanding, a very difficult goal, but we are going ahead towards this direction.
At first. Fascinating. Honestly, what you mentioned above about having everything pretty much in the same place. You don't need to go to other external sources to do certain things. Like you said, the signatures and the payments. It reminds me of a couple of platforms that come from the Republic of China, the social media platforms like QQ, where independently they have platforms that are for everything: social media, video content, payments, banking, financial, everything, absolutely everything, which is something that sounds alien to us, especially here in the West, because we are so used to accessing different platforms to do different things, but it is a different way of seeing things, a different way of working things through. Instead of having to separate everything and do them individually, have them all in the same place, so they're easier and more intuitive for you to navigate through.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing so much about Cluster's journey. It's amazing. Like you mentioned, Cluster is turning 10 years old, which you said your emotions are very high, and it's been a rough but rewarding journey overall. And you had a vision, you had your values. You said that there were doubts in the beginning, but look at you now. It's 10 years now, and you're still heading upwards. Uh, Honestly, I wanted to wrap up with a couple of final words from you and hear a keen insight of next 10 years, maybe. How do you
Yeah.
think those will look like?
Um, I I really believe that we are built to grow fast and become the one of the leading student information management platforms in Europe and maybe globally. Um, what I want to say is that the most important challenge for us is to keep our culture. It is a culture that we have been traditionally very close to our customers. As we grow, that is challenging. We need to make sure that we find the mechanism, the processes that the company grows in a number of employees, but the culture stays there. It's a culture of customer first approach. We make sure that the customer is always a king in our relationship. However, we need to put processes that we put limitation to what we do, how we do it. So we focus also on improve the quality of what we do, the quality of the software, the quality of the services. So this balance between expanding fast as we do, keeping the customer on focus and improving quality in all outputs. It is the three things we want to keep. And we have been um, discussing on a daily basis within the team, within the Classter team how we can do that, what we need to do in all areas, what software we need to purchase, what in process we need to implement, what tools we need to incorporate, what developments we need to do, how we need to onboard customers, how we serve, how we do customer success, how we do customer support, how we do marketing, what we say, what we don't say, to make sure that we keep this triangle: rapid growth, good quality, customer focus. I think if we do all those three things successfully enough, it cannot be perfect. Then we are built for big things, and big things for us basically means that Classter is going to be used by thousands or dozens of thousands of education institutions, and those institutions are very happy with us. We try to achieve that. We are doing this step by step, but I think we are in a very good path.
Of course, the people that are going to view this are probably going to be our partners and schools that are partnered with a program as well. Do you have any few words for them about this 10-year journey?
Yeah. The word I have is that we have people have selected Classter. They have selected Classter because they know that we are very flexible and very focused on making the thing happening. And I want to promise to everybody what we want to keep this way and stay like that.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time once again. And to everyone watching, I would like to keep you attentive and stay tuned for more updates from Classter. This is a celebration week. You can hear more from us in the future.
Thank you very much for your time.